So before you watch this video, I want to give a disclaimer because I know you value your time and I value your time as well, and I appreciate you watching my video. The Devil's Bathtub was unfortunately overflowing due to high water, and you're not going to be able to see it in this video. So if you came here strictly to see the beauty of the Devil's Bathtub, unfortunately you're not going to be able to see that in this video because the water was far too high. I just wanted to be fully honest. I never want my channel to be a clickbait channel or something that falsifies anything I'm talking about. I do think in this video there are some fun things that you will be able to see that you probably haven't seen before. So if you do want to go ahead and watch it, I appreciate the watch, but in the sense of honesty, the payoff of the Devil's Bathtub will not be here today. Thank you for watching. Hey, what's going on, guys? Jared with Hike Solo Outdoors here. Happy October. We are at Virginia's most Instagrammed hike, the Devil's Bathtub. Today we're gonna go find out if it's worth all the hype it gets and why it could potentially be one of Virginia's most dangerous hikes. Today we are hiking to the Devil's Bathtub. Now I decided to do the Devil's Bathtub Loop Trail, which is about 7.5 miles and also has about 1,600 feet of elevation gain in it. Most people who come out to hike the Devil's Bathtub will just do the out and back option, which means you get to hike about 4 miles with only about 500 feet of elevation gain. So it is a much easier hike to just do the out and back. But you know me, I like adventure and exploration, so I decided to do the loop trail and see what we can find.
You want to leave this place where we grew up, this old town, just put it all behind. Remember you and I would always find somewhere to hide when we were kids, so we could see and hear the water run. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.
So we're about 2 miles into our hike, and behind me is the beautiful Finney Holler. It is one of many water crossings we're going to be doing on this hike. So the first 2 miles of the hike are very, very steep in elevation gain. You do about 1,200 feet of elevation gain over just the first 2 miles. In fact, the first 2 miles are where you do most of the 1,600 feet of elevation gain for the whole hike. So just be prepared for that. Maybe allot yourself some extra time for breaks, or if you don't like elevation gain, maybe consider doing the out and back to the Devil's Bathtub instead of the loop trail. I always encourage people to download topographical maps when you go out and hike, because they give you so much more information than you would find on something like Google Maps or All Trails. And on the topographical map that I was looking at before the hike today, I saw one thing that interested me. It was called Ruins. It was off the trail by a little ways, and so I had to go check it out. And it turns out it was an old camping community of people that maybe were living off the grid. There were some old campers out there, an old picnic area that was covered just like you would see at a campground. There was even an old Airstream that looked rusted out. But good news is, if you have to go to the bathroom on the trail, I found the perfect spot for you.
Won't you miss the ones you know? I'll be here, hanging on, waiting for your call. Seems like time, as a wave passing by, leave a mark in our minds that turn to memories. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're. The river's gonna cry when you're. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.
We just passed over our last ridge, and now it's on to the steady descent down toward the Devil's Bathtub. So there is one steep climb right before you start your descent, and it comes right after Quarter Holler. So Quarter Holler was actually so much different than Finney Holler. While Finney was a lush kind of ferny area, there were a bunch of ferns on the ground, and there were, kind of more open forest. Quarter was a lot more rhododendron. There were big rocks and stuff around it, and there was a substantially larger amount of water that was running through Quarter Holler than there was through Finney. I've actually heard that there's a waterfall at the mouth of Quarter Holler. It's about a 50-foot fall, so I'm going to see if I can find that on my way down.
Hey, I was hoping you would stay, but I've always known you would go and find your own way. I still see when we climbed up in those trees, 12 years old, feel the wind and watch the river run, and the sun would always shine when we sat there, you and I. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. River's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. River's gonna cry when you're. River's gonna cry when you're. River's gonna cry when you're gone. It's gonna cry, it's gonna cry.
We just crossed over the appropriately named Deep Holler. Not only deep because there was quite a bit of water flowing through it, but also because it was a chore to get down to it. There are a few places where you might as well have been sliding on your butt to get down there, as well as a little bit of a climb to get back out. It's quite dark down here in the forest. It's not cloudy weather or anything, intermittent clouds, but it's just that we are down, not to make a pun, but we're down in a deep holler.
River's gonna cry when you're gone. It's gonna cry, it's gonna cry. Hey, I heard you want to leave this place where we grew up, this old town, just leave it all behind. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.
So we just crossed over Devil's Fork for the first time. Of course, Devil's Fork being what the Devil's Bathtub is named after. And there is an amazing waterfall right off of Devil's Fork. I couldn't find any information about it. Everything talked about Quarter Holler Falls, which is right in front of us actually. And we're about to go down and check that out. But we're gonna see if we can also maybe get a glimpse, a better glimpse of the waterfall on Devil's Fork, because that thing was awesome as well. Quarter Holler Falls is about 50 feet tall with a beautiful pool at the bottom of it. But I would say this waterfall on Devil's Fork is quite a bit taller. I would say it's about 75-ish feet of a cascading type waterfall.
This time I am pretty sure moments passing away I've never seen before. You held me out of the dark. I always wonder if you were left without a mark.
So it's very, very challenging to get down to the bottom of Quarter Holler Falls, as well as check out that mystery falls that's on Devil's Fork. Hey, check it out. Three Forks Waterfall. So that's the name of that waterfall. I didn't see it on any sort of guides or anything, but there you go. To get down to the base of Quarter Holler Falls, as well as what we now know is Three Forks Falls, there are two rope systems. Thank you to whoever put those up, by the way. I took the first one, which was extremely steep, but even I know my limits, and the second one was too much for me. It was literally a straight drop off with a loose rope that you would have to hang on to, and your only grip would be extremely wet roots that were poking out maybe half an inch for your feet. So I figured being out here by myself, as well as how we're kind of fighting against the light now, probably not the best idea to try to get down there. But it is very, very beautiful. And you can see just from the little overlook how pretty Quarter Holler Falls is. So we just finished up at the Devil's Bathtub, and in case you're wondering why I'm on the move already, well, this is what it looked like. In case you were wondering, no, that's not normal, and yes, I am disappointed. That being said, the Devil's Bathtub has always been kind of like Goldilocks. You always want it to be perfect, but most of the time, unfortunately, it's not. It's never just right. This is my 4th time visiting here. The first time I came was as close to perfect as I've seen. The second time, it was overflowing. Not like today though, this is the worst I've ever seen it. The third time I came, there was pretty much no water at all. So it seems like it's one of those things that's just hard to get right. I had written in my notes for this hike to make sure I mention how beautiful the Devil's Bathtub is, how quaint and serene it is, how the water just flows through so gently. Normally, the Devil's Bathtub is very clear. It's a very turquoise, kind of greenish blue color. And the reason that it is that color is the same reason that the formation is there in the first place, which is the rock base that the Devil's Bathtub is carved out of, as well as the larger blue swimming hole that's just right downstream from it that a lot of people actually think is the actual Devil's Bathtub. It's because they're limestone. Limestone is very easily eroded by water over time, and so when water is hitting in a specific location over and over and over again, like it happens to on the tub, it starts to pool up, which makes it deeper and deeper and deeper, and it does look very interesting and very cool. But it's really by no means unique in this area of Appalachia. If you go to places like Blue Hole Falls in Elizabethton, it's the same deal. You see that blue, that's why it's called Blue Hole. You see it cut out right under one of the waterfalls. Even just a little ways up the mountain at Quarter Holler Falls, you see that blue pool that's developed over time under where the waterfall comes down. The first time I ever visited the Devil's Bathtub, I asked someone that I saw on the trail, said, "Why is it called the Devil's Bathtub?" Her response was, "Because it's so cold, it'll even put a chill in the devil." And while that's funny, obviously that's not true. It's called that because it's on Devil's Fork. But there was a little bit of merit to what she was saying, because the Devil's Bathtub is known to have some of the coldest water around here, no matter what season it is. If you get in the Devil's Bathtub or you get in the pool that's next to it, it's gonna be cold. The actual reason behind it is there are so many high elevation water sources that are draining right down into that area, into the tub. Sorry, had to take a break there to do a stream crossing. So back to what I was saying, probably the main reason that the Devil's Bathtub is so cold is because there are quite a few other water sources emptying into it. I think there's about 9 that empty right down near that point that all come from much higher elevation, the highest of which is about 12 to 1400 feet above where the tub actually is. So that constant flowing water up here in the mountains is what pumps all that cold temperature into the tub. But it's because of all those water sources, you also have to be extremely careful when you are out here visiting. This hike can be one of the most dangerous hikes around Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee, because of its unpredictability. Like I said before, there are about 9 areas where you have to cross Devil's Fork on your way out to the bathtub. They're all dumping straight down into Devil's Fork. So 9 different crossings is 9 different places that you could be stranded with a very real flash flood situation. It doesn't take a lot of rain. Like I said, it hasn't rained for days here, and you saw how it looks. Just this year alone, at least 21 people have had to be rescued from this trail because of flash flooding. So make sure to always check the weather and know what to expect when you're out here. If it starts raining, just turn around. It's not worth it, because it can get very dangerous very quickly, even when the rain isn't that bad out here. But anyway, we're almost back at the parking area, so we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, even though the payoff wasn't that great, make sure you click that like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos of hiking or gear reviews just like this. And as always, stay hiking and stay safe. See ya. One last thing that I forgot to say that's actually kind of a need to know for this trail is you have to be familiar with the parking situation. It's not good. There's only 14 spots in the actual lot, as well as about 4 or 5 overflow spots that are out on the street as you come in. But depending on the state of the road, you might need a 4x4 vehicle to get up, to get even near the normal parking area. And if you park outside of the normal parking area or not in the 4 or 5 designated spots on the overflow for the street, you're most likely probably definitely going to get towed. There are no parking signs everywhere, including signs of who to call if you get towed. I've heard stories about people getting towed out here, so Saturdays and Sundays are kind of a tough deal when you come here, unless you show up super early, because the children and the families will be out in force coming to see this place. Again, it's the most Instagrammed hike in Virginia, so they want to come get their Instagram shot too. So that's one last little piece of information that you probably should have. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys.